Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, officials from the Department of Agriculture met with local farmers Wednesday night at the University of the Virgin Islands. The meeting was called to provide an update on what the department is doing to assist farmers with the drought. Officials also wanted to hear directly from farmers about their concerns. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
Frustration in the voices of local farmers as they got an update from the Department of Agriculture on where the territory stands with the drought.
If we don't see any rain, that's not going to help.
I'm selling my grain to other farmers $2 cheaper than you can do. That doesn't make any sense. Where is the help coming from the government?
Commissioner Carlos Robles told farmers his agency submitted rainfall, cattle, and crop losses data for the federal government so the VI can be considered for a declaration of disaster due to drought.
That information now has been submitted to the Secretary of Agriculture, and we are waiting word back from him. We asked what that timetable would be like. We have no idea, but safe to say sometime between now and within the next week.
Robles said the declaration would mean low-interest loans for farmers, but that's not what the struggling farmers wanted to hear. They're calling for help.
And we're talking about loan, not for me. I ain't got no money to pay back no loan.
So far, the department has been providing hay, water, and molasses to farmers. Officials say they will run out of hay in another week, but they've already contacted Puerto Rico to get more. They're okay when it comes to water because of multiple wells they can access and an agreement with the Housing Authority. Agriculture will be getting $500,000 from the Senate, and Senator Kurt Viale said that money shouldn't be used to buy more feed, but rather to help farmers financially. One other concern made by farmers was what help they can get for land preparation, since the fields are already so damaged by the drought, and it could be more than a year before they see any growth again.
The Farm Service Agency's district director was present at that meeting. Senators Novelle Francis, Kenneth Gittens, and Kurt Viale also attended the meeting, as well as reps from the governor's and delegates' offices. Senator Jeanette Millen-Young, who was the sponsor of the bill to help the Department of Agriculture, is applauding Governor Mapp's intention to approve the legislation. During the last Senate session, Millen-Young submitted an amendment to Bill number 31-149. It's the Emergency Drought Relief Bill and provides $500,000 to agriculture to help farmers. Millen-Young said this drought is a serious emergency, and she is prepared to sponsor another amendment with additional funds if it becomes necessary. In other news, some updates on the multi-million-dollar bribery scheme involving former top government officials. The three defendants, including former Public Finance Authority Director and also former VINGN President Lito Francis, faced a district court judge on Wednesday for their arraignment. News 2's April Knight has an update.
The three defendants in a major bribery scheme pleaded not guilty on Wednesday. Former PFA Director Lito Francis, architectural firm principal John Woods, and Balbo construction owner Gerard Castor all claimed innocence in the scheme involving $17 million in tainted PFA contracts. Francis is charged with 11 counts of conspiracy, bribery, extortion under color of official right, honest services wire fraud, and perjury. Woods is charged with 3 counts of conspiracy, bribery, and extortion under color of official right. Castor, meanwhile, is charged with 10 counts of conspiracy, bribery, and honest services wire fraud. At the center of the scheme is the Charles Turnbull Regional Library. According to the indictment, Castor provided more than $400,000 in improvements to Francis's personal residence and more than $10,000 in improvements to Woods' personal property, specifically his driveway. The indictment also says that the three men would falsify documents to make it seem as if Woods and Francis intended to pay Castor for the services rendered. And in return, Francis as PFA director and Woods as an agent acting in behalf of the government at the time used their positions to ensure that Balbo Construction was awarded $17 million in contracts, including the construction of the St. Thomas Library. Francis has also been denied travel. All three were released on a $50,000 secured bond. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Be sure to count on 2 to keep you updated. We'll keep you abreast of any developments in this case. Meanwhile, the school year's opening is getting closer and closer for public schools. One lawmaker organized a school tour attended by education officials as well as other senators to see if the schools are ready to receive students for the year. The first school tour was on St. Croix. News 2's April Knight has more.
Senator Jean Ford says there's still a lot of work to be done to get some of the territory's schools ready for the upcoming school year. Senator Ford, who chairs the Education and Workforce Committee, organized a school tour to assess their readiness. On St. Croix, they visited 4: Claudio Marco, Eulalie Rivera, Alfredo Andrews, and Charles Emmanuel, all of which would absorb students from Elena Christian and Evelyn Williams.
In terms of space, yes, they are ready. The school's population was down, so they do have a sufficient space. Now, in terms of the school actually being ready, there's a lot of work that still has to be done.
Earlier this year, Education Commissioner Sharon McCullum decided to close the 2 schools to ensure the safety of students, faculty, and staff. The schools, according to Education, are in dire need of major repairs. According to Ford, he was assured that repairs needed in the receiving schools are also being addressed.
Some of the work is minor in nature. Nonetheless, given the time when school is starting, a lot of work has to be done.
But the Education Department needs to secure outside contractors to do the repairs and maintenance, and that procurement process could go a little faster.
That is certainly posing a problem, as the procurement process needs to be retweaked, because it's a very slow process.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
School tours are also expected to occur on St. Thomas and St. John. Senator Ford also spoke on the territory's teacher shortage. We'll have more on that in a later newscast. Turn our attention to crime reports. Police on St. Thomas are asking the public's assistance in locating Lanisha Janita Ambrose, a 16-year-old missing minor. Lanisha Janita left her home on Wednesday, August 5th and hadn't returned. According to police, she was last seen on Thursday, August 6th in the area of Building 8 in the Tutu high-rise housing community, wearing a pair of black pants and a white t-shirt, and is known to frequent Koki Point Beach. Ambrose has a medium brown complexion, stands 5'8", and weighs 130 pounds. If you see Lanisha, you are asked to contact Detective Royale Dunnestog or Cherise Thomas at 340-715-5541, 715-5542, or phone 911. On Wednesday, August 12th at roughly 6:35 p.m., officers on regular patrol were dispatched to Kramer Park Beach to investigate a possible drowning. Officers found the still body of a middle-aged African-American male lying in the sand. Friends told the officers that 3 of them had been partying and drinking on the beach, and the pair had taken the deceased into the ocean to wash him off. They left him alone for no more than 5 minutes, noticed he was missing, and began searching for him in the water. His body was discovered on the sandy bottom of the shoreline after a 10-minute search. He was pronounced dead at the Juan Louis Hospital. As summer winds down, the Virgin Islands Police Department's Office of Highway Safety is ramping up its enforcement efforts as part of a national crackdown on drunk driving. The 20-day high-visibility campaign, Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over, is a partnership with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to curb impaired driving and save lives. During the period of August 21st to September 7th, Labor Day, law enforcement partners nationwide will show zero tolerance for drunk driving. Local drivers should expect to see more patrol vehicles, DUI checkpoints, and increased messaging about the reckless preventable crime. Locally, they say between 2010 and 2014, there were 898 impaired driving arrests made, 488 DUI-related crashes, including 7 fatalities. Detectives on St. Croix are investigating 2 incidents of reckless endangerment that occurred at the same location on Wednesday, August 12th at 2:12 a.m. The 911 emergency call center received notification of an alleged break-in in progress at the Candido Guadalupe housing community. According to the resident, she just retired to bed after completing her evening vespers. At 2 a.m., when she heard items breaking in her home and realized it was gunfire. No one within the residence was harmed, but the apartment's sliding glass door was shattered. Then at 5:15 a.m., officers received a call of shots being discharged at the same location but a different apartment. The resident stated that she had heard the gunfire earlier that morning. However, none of the bullets had struck her apartment. No one within the residence was hurt. Both parties stated they did not have any altercations or confrontations within the housing community. Now, a concerned citizen not residing within the housing community did come forward and inform the officers that while walking through the area when the gunfire began at 5 a.m., as he hid to the side of the building in fear of being hit, he saw a man carrying a black gun in his left hand, wearing a pair of blue jeans and black and long sleeve hoodie. Call police if you have any information that could help in the investigations. Turning our attention overseas, a state of emergency has been declared for the city of Ferguson, Missouri, after protests marking the anniversary of the death of Michael Brown Jr. turned violent on Sunday. County police are in charge of coordinating emergency management in and around the city as it braces for more protests. Police shot and critically wounded 18-year-old Tyrone Harris Jr. after gunfire erupted between two rival groups. Police say Harris fired at their unmarked SUV and they returned fire. But Harris's father says his son was unarmed. Investigations continue. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, the Dow is up at 5, NASDAQ, S&P down, NASDAQ 10, S&P 500, 2. Coming up on News 2, a multi-year investment in the University of the Virgin Islands Process Technology Program and student scholarships through a partnership between UVI and Diageo USVI was announced. Details. Welcome back. Senator Novell Francis Jr. has reached out to Don Henry, Acting Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, to follow up on the steps the agency is taking to mitigate the odor and other issues caused by extensive amounts of sargassum seaweed on the territory's beaches on St. Croix after he received multiple complaints from locals in Taurus and Princess, Christiansted, and East End. As we have reported, DPNR and EPA conducted door-to-door surveys on sargassum stench, as well as air and water sampling in the Red Hook area of St. Thomas, and cleanups. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Innovative would like to inform its customers of scheduled service interruptions on St. Thomas that began on August 6th and will conclude on Saturday, August 15th, as a means to minimize the inconvenience to customers. These interruptions are up to 3 hours between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. Services affected during these brief interruptions include residential customer landlines and internet. Once completed, it will enable the team to provide better service by being more responsive during outages and complete repairs in a timely manner. Diageo USVI made a big donation to one of UVI's programs Wednesday. The university's process technology program was infused with more than $100,000, some of which will go towards scholarships. News2's Erica Parsons has more.
Diageo officials presented UVI President Dr. David Hall and the director of the university's process technology program with a check for $150,000 Wednesday.
We want to thank Diageo for investing again in the university in this very, very special way.
The gift will be awarded over 3 years in annual grants of $50,000 each. $25,000 from the grants is earmarked for scholarships.
Some of the funds are devoted to scholarships, which all students need, and the other area is the simulation center that will be developed because of these funds so that students can learn in the most cutting edge and innovative manner.
Hovensa helped to create and support the process technology program. Enrollment dropped after the refinery closed its doors 3 years ago. Diageo officials say they support building a skilled workforce.
We want to really continue to support your process technology department, and we will benefit from it over the years as well.
My hope is that with this exposure, we can get people a lot more interested in the program, because I think there is this misconception in the community that only oil refineries hire process operators. Diageo is giving us a good gift today, but they've been involved in the program from the time they completed the distillery. They provide internships to students enrolled in the program. And besides all refineries and rum distilleries, wastewater treatment plants, power generation plants, desalination plants, any kind of manufacturing facility needs process operators.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, officials say there is a plan in place for Diageo to review its investment at the end of the term for renewal. The U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism will host the annual Inter-Island Junior Tourism Commissioner Competition on Friday, August 14th on St. Thomas, 10:30 a.m. at the Department of Tourism's Welcome Center on Princeton's Gata. The winner will be named Junior Tourism Commissioner for 2015-2016 and will join the Commissioner of Tourism at the Caribbean Tourism Organization's State of the Industry Conference in Curacao this October to present at a Caribbean-wide competition with other students from around the region. Junior Tourism Commissioner competition was developed by the CTO to introduce Caribbean students to the fundamental role of tourism in the economic development of their countries. Well, for the 5th consecutive year, the USVI Department of Tourism also sponsored the National Association of Black Journalists Conference. NABJ gives the department a unique opportunity to speak with and establish media relations with the movers and shakers in the African American journalist community. Department of Tourism came alive at the Founders Reception, a private event held by the department. Who's who of African American journalists were in attendance, along with the founding members of the NABJ, who celebrated their 40th anniversary this year. The culture and vibrancy of the VI came alive for delegates attending the 40th annual convention in Minneapolis this past weekend, with our Mukajumbis and steel pan artists entertaining the crowd. The Department of Tourism also held giveaways where attendees won Crucian rum, Cardao Virgin Islands watches, and a 4-night stay at Bolongo Hotel, which coincidentally was won by a journalist who began her career right here in the USVI, Cleo Green. Department of Tourism says there's no doubt that their media colleagues got a glimpse of why the U.S. Virgin Islands is so nice.
Well, it's always a great opportunity for us, first of all, to partner with the National Association of Black Journalists. You know, this is a unique opportunity as a destination that's predominantly African American. They really allow us to partner, and they tell the story beyond the beach. It really gets to tell a story from a perspective that's really real to our people. So we get to have the culture, the history, our festivals, and so it's always a great partnership for us. This is our 5th year doing it.
The department also brought along 2 UVI communications students, giving them a chance to experience the conference. Time for our summer fun segment. It is well worth the hike to get to Annalee Bay and the tide pools on St. Croix. After you make the difficult but scenic hike, you will be rewarded with a relaxing dip in the tide pools. The trail starts at the Renaissance Beach Resort and Spa, and roughly 2 miles each way. Once you reach the tide pools, you can take a relaxing swim, have your shoulders massaged under a waterfall created by the waves, and explore the pools with a mask and snorkel. Annalee Bay and the steep slopes of the northwest corner of St. Croix has great historical significance. Escaped slaves, or Maroons as they were called, hid in the rugged mountains of the area of this island. The Maroons used the rough terrain to help them avoid recapture before they could escape the island. Do you believe in magic? If you don't, maybe this event might help. Caribbean Comedy presents Magic in Paradise at the Montessori School's Solar Awning Amphitheater. That's on Friday, August 14th and Saturday, August 15th. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8, featuring Stretch the Flame Taker. The name speaks for itself. See some of the amazing things he can do with fire. It will leave you mesmerized. And James Allen, the magician. James Allen is a professional magician and sleight of hand artist based in Toronto. Now, James has performed across Ontario for small, intimate audiences and on large stages, creating performances which are thought-provoking. Music will be by DJ Eddie. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.